It is time for This Week in Location-Based Marketing. We are at episode number 67. 67. And today is March 3rd. That's a Saturday afternoon. We're doing this in the middle of the day because of other commitments. So, we're going to dive right into this. My name, Rob Woodbridge from Untether.tv, home of all of those interviews with all of those mobile people, teaching you all about how to make money in this industry. And with me, as always, from Toronto, Ontario, Canada,
Asif Khan from the Location-Based Marketing Association, and you can find us at thelbma.com or the Twitter. And we're teaching you all about what's going on in the location-based marketing ecosystem.
Asif, I wouldn't call what you guys do teach. You guys are the prophets of this space. The Location-Based Marketing Association are the educators as well as the sitting on the forefront, the knowledge dissemination for the location-based marketing.
All right, we'll take that.
Yeah. The gurus, the prophets.
All right.
This is that show, obviously, you come to find out what the most important stories or the most relevant stories in the location-based marketing world were in the past week, what's going on in this coming week, and certainly some deals. We're gonna and actually a product of the week. This is where you find it all in a very short podcast today because we are under time constraints, and we have an eject button on both of our seats in a very short while. So we're going to dive right into it. Right, Asif?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's
I'm going to take one moment to plug something that is brand new that you've just heard here for the very, very, very first time. Ginsu knives for I've just secured a lead sponsor for something called Untethered Talks, and I'm very excited about this. This is going to be framing it like TED Talks for mobile, where we take 8 of the most important things, the streams of the industry, and put them into and invite a speaker who can talk to that thing about the future of mobile or the impact of mobile on these areas. Those 8 areas will be displayed in some future time, but we're going to do this in late May or June of this year. So it's called Untethered Talks, and stay tuned for some more announcements about that. I'm pretty excited about doing something like this. But we just secured yesterday our lead sponsor. Very, very, very
awesome. That's great. Looking forward to participating in that, Rob.
Oh yeah, you'll be there. As you just called you the prophet of location-based marketing. So
all right.
This week we've got news from IBM, LivingSocial. We've got Amex, some big guys in here. We've got a great product, Promobomb. We've got the founder. You sat down with the founder, Libby Tucker, and some Karma. Funding, it's funny, eh? Karma funding, as well as the Yelp IPO and some other raises, as well as a product and a resource of the week. All that coming up right now, starting this moment. Sif, first story of the week. We've been talking about the fact that the big guys are not playing in this space. All of a sudden, the big blue steps in. IBM partnering with LocAid. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, this is a big story because we on this show in the past we've said, wait till the big guys, Microsoft and IBM and all these guys sort of get activated in the location-based marketing world. And I didn't even know about this company. IBM's got
You've never heard of IBM?
A division of IBM called DemandTec, actually.
Oh, nice.
And that's tech with just the C, no H on the end, all one word, DemandTec. And so they partnered with LocAid. And really what this is a play around location-based analytics. We've talked a lot about the importance of analytics, but this is all about shopper analytics and understanding where shoppers are going and what they're doing. And LocAid has a lot of that data. And apparently the DemandTec network has something like 18,000 active, member companies that are sourcing data from their network. So basically, LocAid said, "Look, we've got great shopper analytics data. You're IBM, and you've got the DemandTec, network, and so there was this great partnership of adding, LocAid's data to that network and to that system. So really cool stuff. And I think there's a lot of research that will come out of this, and a lot of interesting, sort of data analysis and surveys and whatnot. So pretty cool."
So what I love is obviously this IBM realizing that they need some help from a fresh company, a new company, and do you probably think that this is the precursor to an acquisition, something like LocAid ending up inside of IBM?
IBM tends to do that, so yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. And the way this initial thing works is that if you're a member of the DemandTec network, one of those 18,000 organizations, you basically they said you get one free custom mobile intercept survey that you can push out through the LocAid system. So basically, it's a shopper analytics and surveying platform. over mobile. And so somebody goes and shops, and then post-transaction or whatever, I guess there's a mobile survey that Locately can push to them, and then they can gather location data along with that. And so IBM's offering, as part of this initial deal, a free, one-time survey to their base, and then obviously you can subscribe to it after that as a feature on the network. And there's other things on this network as well. So I was looking into it. They have a thing called Rival Watch, which provides competitive information from Amazon and Amazon Marketplace. So that's another thing that is on the DemandTec network. So doing price comparison stuff. They've got food and food data and grocery data. So I never even heard of these guys. They got weather trends on there. So they got all kinds of little data feeds coming into this DemandTec thing. And yeah, if you're IBM DemandTec and you're listening to this, give us a call, because I really want to know more about this thing. But it sounds like a great partnership. This is one of those things that doesn't surprise me that this is being incubated inside of something like IBM, simply because just because we've never heard of them doesn't mean that these guys don't exist. But they can't be hiding out for too long, and I think that's what we're starting to see that. Yeah, and remember, IBM's a company that's always been strong in data, right? They acquired good company in your neck of the woods, Cognos, a few years back there. That's all about data and data mining and whatnot. So these guys very much understand data, and I think this is a great fit for the kinds of analytics that they're bringing to that network. Well, boy, and that's exactly. I mean, for those who Cognos, it was all analytics. It was all enterprise level analytics and logic, and this is, it's IBM. IBM, Big Blue. Yep, Big Blue. All right, so DemandTec partners with Locately, the big guys partnering with the little guys, and we'll see how this goes. All right, second story. LivingSocial, the Groupon competitor that's owned by Amazon, is actually getting into their own credit card, or getting into the credit card business. They're going to launch their own credit card. Yeah, I thought this was really interesting, and so they've partnered with Chase, JP Morgan Chase, and this is a Visa-based credit card that they're pushing out into the marketplace, only in the U.S. at the moment. Not a lot of information that's coming out on this yet, but what they have said is people who have the card, who make 10 purchases a month with the card, earn 10 credits, which they're going to call deal bucks. And so the idea that they're really going for here, and this is been a problem for Groupon and LivingSocial and many others, is that there's been so much backlash against the the one-time traffic driving deal versus the loyalty to the merchant. And I think in particular when you look at small and medium-sized businesses that may be wanting to do things with LivingSocial or Groupon, but are sort of scared off by that turning on the tap and being overwhelmed, getting too much one-time traffic and then have no way to follow up. Something like this can make sense, because if all of a sudden maybe I make 10 purchases in this chain of stores, or I do 10, and it doesn't specify at this point. It's just 10 purchases with the card anywhere is the sense I got. And then I got these 10 deal bucks I can just use wherever I want. So, it is, not unlike very many other loyalty programs on credit cards, but interesting that it's LivingSocial that's putting it out there, and Groupon doesn't have this yet, and neither does anybody else. So, you think that the first thing that came to me, especially when you talk about the bucks, the bucks that you buy 10 transactions at a store, you get 10 bucks, is Scavenger and their level up stuff. Does this kind of play into that? Well, yeah, a little bit. Obviously, it's a different payment vehicle than the Scavenger, but from a loyalty play, yeah, I think so. Yeah. I think it's very much going up against that, but I think you're going to see a lot of connections this year between deal services and loyalty programs, pre-existing or card-based solutions like this. They have to. It has to be that way, and we all know that, and we've talked about this on many episodes, is the fact that loyalty is going to come down to the card owner and the credit card companies, is that, instead of scanning or swiping or tagging or tapping a separate loyalty card for everything that you do, the credit cards are going to eventually own that. And, so Amex will, when you tap and you pay something with Amex, it'll automatically credit every one of your loyalty programs as a result of that purchase, and you don't see the background. The mobile wallet and NFC, but at the moment, doing it this way with a card is just as efficient for the regular consumer today. That's it, and we are all regular consumers at this point. Yeah, that's cool. LivingSocial, do they need to launch a credit card? I'd rather have a kind of a ubiquitous
service across all credit cards where I don't have to do it on my own, and maybe that's where Groupon's going to go. So we'll see what happens with LivingSocial launching their own credit card. I bet you Amazon's going to benefit from this somehow.
Probably.
Yeah, and they should, because Amazon is going to rule the world.
Yeah.
Speaking of credit card companies, hey, let's talk about another one. I may have mentioned it just a second ago. Company's name is American Express, Amex. They're about to launch a payment processing service for Facebook apps.
Yeah, so last year Amex launched a system called Serve, which is basically an online payment service that competes with PayPal. And so they've taken that a step further now and brought it into the Facebook world. And so the idea here is that, you know, Facebook users through the Serve Facebook app can pay each other without ever leaving Facebook. And it's interesting because PayPal went this route last year with Facebook, but you actually, when you do a transaction, you have to exit Facebook and go to the PayPal site and then complete the transaction there. In this case, you don't leave you never leave Facebook. And in fact, so what happens is you put in a request for payment from a friend on Facebook. It gets posted to their wall without the amount being displayed. And then basically they accept that request, and then the transaction is completely fulfilled within Facebook. You know, without anything else. In the Serve non-Facebook version of Serve, that like the sort of traditional competitor to PayPal, you have a PIN number and all that kind of stuff you have to enter. But here, there's none of that. It's completely within the Facebook ecosystem.
What about all of these stores that we read over the last couple of weeks? Remember about them shutting down their Facebook stores? Does this have an impact on something like this, or, you know, this is just wave one? We anticipate that this is going to happen, but there's going to be transactions that go through. We just have to. Is it a case of enabling those transactions? Is that what was missing?
I think this is an enabling vehicle. You know, I'm not sure at the moment. This is person to person. We're talking about here, so this isn't online. You know, brand store in Facebook. You know, we're not making purchases, you know, through the Gap's online store that's inside of Facebook, using the Serve platform yet. So, is it going to go there? Maybe. You know, I think it's entirely possible. I'm not sure Facebook wants to do that. And the other thing I should point out is there's no transaction fees on this. It's completely free. So whereas PayPal's obviously does have a transaction fee, so they're going head to head here, and they're really trying to make it easy for the consumer.
You know, any way that you can do this, it just seems like there is an incredible amount of activity going on right now when it comes to the transaction space, and everybody's getting into this, right? They're creating consortiums, or like ISIS, or they're doing mobile wallets like Google, and you know, there is such a thing here as too much choice. You know what I mean? And it gets confusing for the consumer, and this is where we're at. It's a frenzy right now, and I think it's the same thing when it comes to enabling person-to-person transactions. There are ways to do this, and we just have to make it simple. We just have to make it so that, look, I just want to send you, whether it's rubles or sterling or dollars or Facebook credits, we've got to enable that seamless transaction and hide all the rest.
I agree, and I think the advantage that Amex, you know, has here is obviously this is you know, they start with their existing Amex user base, right, which is a big number to begin with, right? So probably a bigger number than PayPal's. I don't know, but
that's a good question.
You know, it's probably close. Anyways. But you know, so obviously they're pushing this out, and they're saying if you're already an Amex user, you know, you hook up with the Serve thing, and you can pay people through Facebook that way, which is kind of interesting. And it actually, you know, maybe talks a little bit to you know, our product of the week in a second when we get there. But you know, I'll come to that in a moment. So
okay, well, it's good. Amex, I like the fact that, so we've talked about this. We've mentioned IBM. We've mentioned Amex in the two of the first three stories, and I think that that's a good sign that these guys are getting engaged. The big guys are getting involved now. Third story, talk about this. This is the week after Mobile World Congress in Barcelona. This was announced in Mobile World Congress in Barcelona that Wyless and LocAid are partner to provide carrier grade location. This seems very familiar. This story.
Yeah, I don't think it's a new story. You know, LocAid's been out doing great deals like this over and over again. I mean, these guys are the leader, as far as I'm concerned, in carrier grade location data. And so Wyless has a great service. They have a thing called Porthos, which is a sort of M2M platform, management platform, and it operates in the U.S. and Europe and many other countries. So it's a global undertaking, and LocAid's data is global as well. So this just makes sense to me. This is all about empowering people to determine somebody's location without the need for GPS necessarily in a phone. And so obviously some of the carriers have been licensing data, but this is a sort of a third-party service provider, Wyless, providing this through a management service that other app developers and others could potentially use. So I think it's kind of interesting that way. And it's interesting because I was actually sitting with a company earlier this week, a brand that has retail footprint, and we were talking about how to determine somebody's location, and they were a bit sort of anti-app, this company, and they're like, so if we don't have an app, and therefore a smartphone type of audience, like a Foursquare type of solution, can we do location? And this was a Canadian company, and I'm like, well, unfortunately, none of the carriers in Canada, are really providing a service offering yet in this space. Now, something like this could enable them to do that, right? And so I think there's a lot of value in a service like this and a partnership like this.
Well, as you said, LocAid is very aggressive. They are the owners of this data. From a carrier grade standpoint, that the data that you want to rely on, so it makes sense that these guys, that Wyless, I love the names of these products, Porthos,
yeah,
very impactful,
and yeah, great. I mean, anyways, like two great companies, and as you say, LocAid's just really good at what they do and providing carrier grade data, and Rip Gerber, the founder and CEO, just phenomenal guy. We'll get him on the show soon, as well, because they're doing great things. So.
Well, that's great. Wyless and LocAid partner for carrier grade location. All right, a last big story of the week. This was, I think that we both really enjoyed this one, which was a company called Senzari. They unveiled their internet radio for Facebook Places. So basically, why don't you explain this? People aren't doing this right now, so this is pretty cool. No,
this is really, really cool. I'm excited about this, and I'm actually in a couple weeks I'm speaking here in Toronto for Canadian Music Week. And so obviously I'm going to be talking about this as well, because it's just a great way to bring music to people. So what is it? Senzari is an internet radio service that basically builds you your own personal radio station based on recommendations and data that they know about you, that they can discover about you. So what they've done, it's kind of like Pandora, right? Where it's a little bit like Pandora, and they've got about 10 million songs in their catalog. But what they've said is look, this is really about music discovery connected to the locations that people are in, and understanding data about this particular bar and restaurant. Here's what's trending, or what's what the musical tastes and preferences are of the people who hang out there, and we're going to serve music to you or recommend music to you on that basis. And so they've connected this to Facebook Places from a check-in perspective to get that data. Apparently they're working on Foursquare and Google Places as well right now, but at the moment it's only Facebook Places. It's a really, really cool concept. I think it's got a lot of legs. So what would happen is that you would check in with Facebook Places and presumably all the other services when they become available. You would check in, and based on your check-in, it's your friends' recommendations. How do you know how this plays out? Yeah, so basically you walk into a place, you check in there, and then it looks at all the other check-in data from everybody who's been to that place, and then it builds a radio station for you, effectively a playlist for you based on all the people who've been at that location and what their tastes and preferences have been. So it's not only you or friends necessarily. It's purely on who's been at that particular place. Okay. So it's not about your friends. It's about I like this. I like this concept. I like the discover piece. I just we got a new show on Untether, and it's called Where's the Money, and we just kind of laid into something, turntable.fm, which everybody was the rage. It was the rage 9 months ago. Remember, everybody was talking about it. Come and DJ a song and blah blah blah. It was kind of, well, not really relevant.
it still isn't relevant to me, but they've moved it over to they've created a mobile app that they just launched as well. And it's an immersive environment where you have to be in your app all the time. And it's really not about discovery unless you actually are very proactive in discovery. And I like what these guys are doing because it's reactive. I can check in and then I can find out the pulse of what's around me, the relevant songs that are around me that people have tagged for me. It's a much better way of doing it than waiting in a room with a DJ that's spinning tunes. I don't get that.
Completely agree. And I think the whole idea of music discovery, that is location based is, I think there's just so much power in that. I also spoke earlier this week, unrelated to this story, with a new startup coming out of Atlanta called Check In Rock On. And basically the simple premise of it, I won't dwell on this too long, but the simple premise of it is that they feel that, when you check in on Foursquare, you're not really getting any value for that check-in. Like, who cares about becoming the mayor or getting a badge or, earning points that you can't use for anything? So their premise is, and they also have a huge music catalog that they own or have the rights to, is when you every time you check in, you get a music download as in return for that check-in. So pretty cool. Maybe these two guys should get together. But anyhow.
But I really like that because certainly when Starbucks has become one of the biggest producers and distributors of music right now, and I think that these are the services that they should be leveraging on top of what they're already doing in the location space. So
for sure.
All right, so Senzari is launching this internet radio that's tied to your check-ins right now through Facebook Places. But obviously, it's weird that they went Facebook Places first, but Facebook Places and soon to be Foursquare, I hope, and probably Latitude from Google. Okay, that's it. Those are the 5 stories, the relevant stories this week, all for different reasons. And because they're big companies, small companies, and innovative ideas that you could probably bring into your business right now and start to leverage. That's probably why we do these stories. Hey, these are great lessons. Do something like this in your business.
Right.
Just saying. I'm just saying.
All right,
Asif, our product of the week, Promobomb. You sat down with Libby Tucker, who is the founder. Do you know where is she based?
They're based in New York City.
Oh, great.
Yeah, New York City. Libby Tucker, founder and CEO. And this is Promobomb is actually the second product out of coming out of another thing that the same group launched called Beer to Buds, which was an app for sending beers to your friends.
I interviewed a company called Buddy Beers. The same thing. They're based out of Germany, though.
So anyhow, why don't we just let's hear what Libby has to say. So.
All right. Well, here's Libby Tucker, the founder and the CEO of Promobomb.
All right. Well, we're sitting down today with Libby Tucker, founder and CEO of Promobomb.com. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, Asif. Thanks for having me.
Oh, no problems at all. And why don't we just jump right into it? Why don't you tell our audience at the LBMA a little bit about, who is Promobomb.com? What are you guys all about?
Sure. Promobomb.com is a social promotions tool that allows bars, restaurants, and coffee shops to promote their brand across social, web, and mobile platforms.
Okay. And is it delivered through an app-based solution? Is it done through a mobile web, SMS? How what's the vehicle for delivery?
Sure. Promobomb is initiated on the web. We have a back-end promotion system. So bar, restaurants, and coffee shops, retail, create a promotion on the web. This is going to be part of the problem.
It's all good.
Sorry, there's construction going on right now in this building, and it's really loud. So the promotion is initiated on the website, and it's pushed out to Facebook, Twitter, and also mailing list, etc. So
okay.
I'm distracted. Apologize.
No problems. No problems. So you said that this is a service for bars and restaurants to push out offers. What was the problem that you saw in the industry, or what was missing in the industry that prompted you to say we need a Promobombs.com? Sure.
And Promobomb.com, I just want to make sure we have that correct. We don't have an S yet. We're only exploded once. So bars, we initially started by creating a product called Beer to Buds, which is a social gifting service that allows friends to send each other a beer. It's really mobile beer money. And so we created a network of bars across
I've used it,
US.
So there you go.
You've used it. All right. How come you didn't send me a beer?
Well, you're supposed to send me the beer.
I already did, didn't I?
Yeah.
I don't know. Your beers are stronger in Canada, so I'll have to send you two.
Okay.
But, or you'll send me two. Anyway, so we created a network of bars, and we started realizing, though we were growing the Bearded Buds brand, but we really started realizing as smartphones, the smartphone market was increasing, and Facebook and other social platforms started increasing, particularly Facebook and Twitter. We saw a real opportunity for brands to get involved with running their own promotions. And also, Bearded Buds is just limited to beer. So we saw...
Sorry, just talk through it.
I'm just going to pause. Okay. So we saw... outside of just beer, we also had opportunities for bars and restaurants. They wanted to expand out past beer. So, for example, we did, like, Tasty Delight was, we started working with, and they said, well, we don't have beer, so what if we ran a promotion for 2 for 1 for our frozen treat, for Tasty Delight, 2 for 1 promotion, or, maybe salads or sodas or whatever the need was. It definitely expanded beyond beer, and we saw Groupon come along, for example. Sorry, can I scratch and say we saw daily deal sites come along, for example, that were great for educating the market on smartphones coming, or on the growth of smartphones, and also were great at getting in new customers in the door. But a lot of our bars and restaurant customers were saying, well, we don't want to discount our brand. We don't want just new customers. We want to do local star marketing, or we want to do VIP, or we want to do loyalty, or basically we want to dictate what it is. We don't want to give out 70% plus another 50% on top of it. And so we saw it hurting the brands, and what they really wanted was an opportunity to promote their own brand on these social platforms through not just web, but also through mobile. There was something I was just about to say of the brands and local store marketing. Anyway, we saw an opportunity that they really wanted to push out their own promotions. Here's what I was going to say. The daily deal platforms, they also take, for example, the daily deal platforms also were pushing the deals out to their customers, but they were keeping the data. So bars and restaurants were saying, well, not only am I discounting my brand, but I also don't have my data.
I don't have the data, right.
Right, exactly. So
cool.
How am I supposed to run targeted promotions to them in the future?
Sounds great.
Yeah.
So let's just jump ahead, fast forward, maybe 2 years out, not too far into the future, but next 24 months. I mean, what's next in this space? I mean, where are these restaurants and bars going? What do you think's coming? Beyond where Promobomb is today. Where can you take the platform to sort of enhance it and sort of meet future needs?
Sure. Well, I think is really exciting right now is, for example, in Promobomb platform, we combine with different APIs, so we're pushing out to Facebook, Twitter, and we also generate a QR code. But I think you actually mentioned one of your other podcasts about snap tags, NFC. Everything now is mobile, is going mobile. I mean, mobile's not just a big buzzword, it's actually reality. So, and I heard somebody else say this, but this is something I also say, is that you'll leave home and you might leave if you have a coupon or a promotion or offer, you might leave it or forget it on the table. But if you leave your phone at home, you're going to go back and you're going to get it.
Right.
Also, people check their phone. I think it's 80% of people from 18 to 25, and my statistics are a little off, but you get the gist of it, check Facebook before they even get out of bed in the morning from their mobile phone. So mobile phones are becoming an extension of our arm, essentially, our wallet. And what I think is really exciting is being able to harness the power of what you're holding in your hand, and also allowing the bars and restaurants to be able to promote locally, whether they want to do discounts or whether they want to do offers, or if they want to just bring somebody in for 2 to 4 that afternoon, whatever it is, They have the power to be able to do that. So what I see is harnessing the power of the mobile phone, and also giving the power to the bar, restaurant, retail, coffee shop, etc., to be able to connect with the brand, with the user. One of the things that we're working on right now is also integration to the point of sales. So now we're having the social profile of a customer also coming in, tied into their mobile phone, and then walking into the bar or restaurant and using their mobile phone. And what that gives us is really, really powerful data that we've never had before. Purchase history
and patterns and all that kind of stuff.
Exactly. Yeah. So now the bars and restaurants, or our clients, have control over who and when they can target and why, instead of giving that power up to somebody else. So I see a lot of great things coming in 2 years out. We're going to be more advanced. More people are going to be carrying around phones. We're going to have better integration and more powerful data and better targeting. So it's really exciting.
Great. Well, first of all, I want to thank you for your time and coming on to the show. We've been speaking with Libby Tucker, founder and CEO of Promobomb.com. Really, really, really glad to have you on. So thanks, Libby.
Well, and that was Libby Tucker from Promobomb in New York City. Go to promobomb.com if you want some more information from that. We really appreciate, Libby, thank you so much for being a part of the show. Really appreciate you doing that.
Absolutely.
All right, on to the funding news, man. Funding! So we're about a week away from South by Southwest, a week away from the iPad 3 launch announcement. We are cruising. We're a couple of days away from Bruce Springsteen's new album. Lots of activity happening here. But let's talk about this. If you want to send somebody a gift, how do you do it? Right? From a mobile device? Maybe you use a company called Karma. Maybe you've never heard of them. They raised a little bit of money.
But here they are, Karma. Yeah. So they're a social mobile gifting service. It's actually coming out of the same guys who did Tapjoy.
Yeah.
So, you know, good pedigree there.
Lee Linden, big pedigree there.
Yeah, big pedigree. They raised $4.5 million for this, and it's coming from the big guys. This is Kleiner Perkins and Sequoia, and you know the who's who of the VC world over there. So really interesting. I mean, and this is simply about giving gifts to your friends. It's iOS and Android. All through the mobile platform. Not a lot more I want to say about it than that, but $4.5 million for social gifting.
I suppose if you have the success that Lee's had with Tapjoy and his team, Kleiner and all those guys are first in line to invest.
Yeah, you got to think so.
Yeah, well, because this doesn't sound very innovative at all, but maybe for a guy like Lee, it actually would generate some. There's going to be an exit somehow. I like these plays. A company that I wanted to start when I was much younger was whatiwant.com, and it was the universal wish list. It was the same thing. List, yeah. That's back when that domain name was still available. That'll tell you how long ago it was. And I like this because I always thought that there's an exit here for a company that does this right. And a loyalty piece like this, I think certainly Karma would be aimed for an exit. That's the only reason to raise $4.5 million.
Sure.
All right, number 2, Highlight app, which I've never used, has actually got a seed round. They've launched their product and they got a seed round from Benchmark. Do you use? Have you ever used Highlight?
Yeah, I don't know what the number was. It just I didn't see an actual number associated with it. But yeah, Benchmark is behind this, which is big. Sort of on the same level as Kleiner and Sequoia. And this is Highlight, by the way, with an LIGHT. So we have a Canadian/British spelling here. So this is a pretty new thing. I mean, Highlight's only been out for a month or two.
Yeah.
And a lot of big name VCs getting involved in this. It's kind of like Banjo that we talked about recently. But it was interesting. I was reading the story of one of the guys who was using this, and he was saying this is about discovery and finding people around you. And he was talking about how he was using the app to find VCs that were in proximity to where he was. Kind of interesting.
Is that how he landed Benchmark? That would be the best ever if it was actually how he landed Benchmark. Yeah. I don't know, but it's certainly an interesting concept. And you and I were talking earlier before the show about this, and something like this at South by Southwest, in terms of knowing where all the VCs are and all the potential partner companies are, becomes quite interesting. Well, this is we were looking for it a couple of weeks ago. I asked the question and said, "What are we going to see at South by Southwest?" Because last year was the year of the group messaging services. The year before it was always location-based location-based services. Well, obviously, we've just answered the question about what is going to happen at South by Southwest this week, this coming year. It is around people discovery. 100%, because you've got Banjo, you've got Sonar, you've got Highlight. All of a sudden, these applications are coming into like a maturity phase, I would say. Like Banjo was one of the featured apps, and I sat down with Dave. Great interview.
I think Sonar is going to do some really great things there as well. So,
but that's exactly what it is. It's about discovering where people are and who's there and who's in a building, who's around you, and then connecting with them. And they all serve a different niche, which is the coolest thing. Maybe Highlight is very similar to something like Banjo. But what I love about Sonar is that it serves a completely different purpose than what these guys are doing, and they complement each other. But I think that South by Southwest, we just answered the question. It's going to be about the people discovery applications
and payments and NFC.
Yeah, but I would say that certainly the NFC will be prominent there. And I think, like Tabbed Out and those guys, they did it last year. They'll do it again this year, where you pay your tab through your device or you tap to pay. But I really think that the simplicity of these kind of apps, like Banjo, like Sonar, or even like Highlight, I've never used Highlight, but the way that it sounds like is that, listen, Gary Vaynerchuk's secret wine party, not so secret anymore.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
When you start to use these things, and I think that Highlight relies on Facebook, right?
We all know what's really going to happen at South by Southwest, though, Rob.
What's that?
You're going to be going around broadcasting where all the secret parties are.
That's right, exactly. And Springsteen is actually doing the keynote for the music festival, which I unfortunately am not going to be able to get to. It's too late in the week. Mm-hmm. So Highlight raises a seed round from Benchmark. This is the new battleground. This is going to happen at South by Southwest, and I like this kind of business. And I implore you, I sat down with Damien, who's the founder of Banjo. There's 3 segments online. We featured him last week. Yep. What an incredible story, great interview, and great insight about why these applications are going to be so relevant going forward. So go check that out. Last but not least, in the deals, we had this little kind of Scream that went public. Little Yelp went public this week.
Little Yelp, yeah.
Little Yelp.
Yeah, $107.3 million bucks raised.
Like on almost $1 billion valuation, close to $1 billion valuation.
Yeah. It keeps happening. For some reason, these guys keep thinking public's the way to go.
It's crazy.
And the share price is up from the initial offering price, which was around $15, I think. Said, and where are we now? 24.5.
24.58 as of close on Friday. So
yeah,
that's like a 65% increase.
Yeah. So, I don't think those kinds of things are sustainable. It'll probably fall back down early in the week, but I think it's interesting. Now they got to do all the reporting. Now they got to everything's got to be public. Now the pressure is on to step up the mobile game and figure out what they're doing.
Well, Yelp is I don't know. I mean, I don't know why any company would go public at this point. I know that Facebook has to go public because they have so many outstanding shareholders and shares that they're forced to. But you know that Zuckerberg is thinking that there's no way I want to go public. So why would anybody elect to go? I certainly would if I was going to extract some money. And I think that Yelp has been around long enough that the investors said, listen, it's time to get out. It's time to get some money out of this investment. And a $105 million IPO and a 65% bump in shares means that a lot of people got rich.
Are getting out.
Yeah, are getting out right now. So we'll see what happens on Monday or Tuesday when the sell-off begins. And I think that that's going to happen. I don't know.
Without a doubt.
Yeah. And I think that it's great because we get to see the insides of Yelp and competitors around the world. TripAdvisor, for example. Those guys are going to get a whole lot of competitive intelligence now that they didn't have before. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Here I am naked. Yeah. And for those of you who are listening, not watching, that's not quite true, but it's a metaphor.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
So those are the three. Funding and M&A activity. Karma raised $4.5 million. Highlight raises a seed round from Benchmark, and Karma. I mean, Sequoia's in there. It's a big group in there. And Yelp goes public, and their stock price goes from $15 to $24.58. Maybe by the time you're listening to this, it'll be back down below the asking or the IPO price of $15. Who knows? Great week. I love the fact that there's so much activity. And now, let's talk about the resource. What is this QR code stuff? Are they still around?
Apparently.
And people are doing studies on it?
Yeah. So there's a group called Competitrack, which has put out a new survey. And they looked at 7,300 mobile activated ads. I brought this one out today because I get asked all the time about from brands, should we be doing QR codes? What do you think about QR codes? And my view of QR codes is there's so many better, more effective ways to do things than scanning a QR code. But it's there. There's still a lot of brands doing it in print in particular, and that's sort of what the data says here. So that when they looked at the data, they said that 6% of all these ads carried a QR code in them as of the last quarter of 2011. And that apparently is up from 1% in the first quarter. So, there was certainly significant growth there. But I think the interesting thing is that it's all in print. Like none of this is happening, at any real scale outside of the print environment. television, billboard, anything else. Very, very little traction there. And the data goes on to talk about that and share the numbers. But if you're considering QR codes, this is the study that you should be looking at.
This is it. Well, and one of the things that we knew, I think it came out at the same time or as a result of this, was that Home Depot is by far the king of the QR code. They did 121 campaigns that featured QR codes. That's dedication.
Right. Yeah.
And I would see that is something. QR codes are the low-hanging fruit in the mobile industry.
It's easy to do, right? There's nothing crazy innovative about it at all. It's just there, and I was just sort of scanning through the data again. So, just to illustrate, how much of this is in print. It's 96% of all of the the use of QR codes is in print.
Wow.
96%. So.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, and what I loved about this as well is that they broke down how many. So listen, I'm a big fan of the fact that we've got to be able to jump from magazines and newspapers onto the mobile devices. Right? I think that's very important, that whatever you're doing in print, you have to have a digital component, a scan, whatever it is. You want to be able to extend that message. You want to be able to measure that message that you're sending out through the print. So
right.
it doesn't surprise me. My kids now, whenever they pass a QR code, they ask me to scan it. Every QR code. Every single QR code I have to scan. I got thousands of them saved up because they know that that means scan, and I think that's a very effective way of getting it into the psyche. And so
the problem is too often with these things is you see the thing, it's for scanning, but you don't know what happens when you scan it.
Right.
They don't often communicate well. What is the value? Why should you stop and scan this thing? What's going to happen?
Totally agree.
Yeah.
And I think that's and don't take me. We talk about this all the time. Is that don't take me to the same information. Don't when I scan from an article or a magazine or an ad. Don't just take me to that ad, but in digital form. That doesn't do any good. Don't take me to a full-fledged website that isn't mobile optimized. That doesn't do me any good, right? It's crazy. But when you start to think about some of the consistencies, Home Depot, is QR code crazy. And one of the big brands, one of the biggest brands in watches, mid-priced watches, mid to upper price watches, Tag Heuer, has QR codes in 68% of their ads as well. And I've scanned one of the Tag's QR codes, and it takes me to a little bit more information. But I really like the fact that I can scan a QR code from a product, and it tells me a richer story about that product. And I think that's the thing that we have to do.
Yeah. So, cool. Anyways, this is the study you want to look at if you're interested in or investigating QR codes. Yeah.
Low-hanging fruit. All right, so that's the Competitrack QR Code Study. Tough day. LocAid is a tough name. Competitrack is a tough name. LocAid is always a tough name. I always have and Senzari. Thanks. It's like tongue twisters all day, Asif.
Yeah, but great companies.
Great companies. I love this. And karma comes back. That's it. Episode number 67. We got nothing else. You're in town this week. It's just a regular work week for you.
You got it.
No traveling. There will be more details about the Untethered talks. If you guys are interested, reach out at untethered@gmail.com. I'd love to hear some feedback, some input. I've already got Asif's name penned in there to talk about the impact that location is going to have, or that mobile is going to have on the way that we market and produce and well, pretty much everything. So he'll be there in theory. I haven't asked him officially. But I'd love to hear what you have to say about that and about the show. If there's anything you want us to cover, reach out, untethered@gmail.com or asif@thelbma.com. Follow us on the Twitter sphere. Follow us everywhere you can, and let us know what we should be covering or we shouldn't be covering.
That's it.
Anything else to finish off there, Asif?
No, I'm good. Great stories today. Thanks for all the feedback this week from people who've been tweeting and commenting on how much they enjoy the podcast. Keep them coming. Any stories you want to share with us, let us know. Drop an email. We're always happy to learn more about what's going on.
Sweet. And at last check, in the very first Grapefruit League game, the Toronto Blue Jays were beating the Pittsburgh Pirates 2-0.
Love it.
I'm very excited. Very excited. That's it. We'll see you next week for episode number 68. Asif, later. Thanks, everybody, for watching.
Cheers.